So when we think about all of these different communications methodologies and why we're bringing it back into the corporate world, you know, this is the push. This is why services like Lync exist and why it's so imperative that as an organization we look at them. I always challenge organizations when I walk in. One of the first questions I ask is, do they have a bring your own device or BYOD policy? And every organization answers yes, and either they allow them or they block them. And I'm particularly interested in the ones who say they don't allow BYOD. Because my first challenge is, let's walk around the building and see how many devices we can find that are connected that are BYOD. And let's start with the executive floor, right? And everybody laughs and smiles. Of course, the CFO and CEO have their personal iPad connected to email. They're the CFO and CEO. Well, those are the users that we need to be most concerned about security. They're the ones with access to really sensitive data, right? So if we don't have these security policies, how can we possibly manage them? I'm not overly concerned about someone who has access to nothing critical and nothing crucial having a BYOD device. It's those users who actually have access to these systems, and they're the ones who tend to violate our policies the first. Another example I kin it back to is text messaging. 10 years ago, if you had walked into a corporate entity and say text messaging should be part of their corporate communication plan, you'd be laughed out the door. Text messaging is what teenagers did. And now I don't know a single organization where text messaging is not part of the corporate communication strategy in some way, whether it be emergency messaging, whether it be notifications of a server issue. Somehow text messaging is part of the corporate communication structure. So we really need to embrace these changes, because as these millennials, this next generation of workforce hits, they're only going to get more demanding. When I think about my son, I have a 12-year-old son who is very techno-savvy. He walked into my office the other day and asked me to request a static IP address for our FiOS connection because he was setting up a Minecraft server. Think about that. My 12-year-old son was asking for a static IP address and knew what that meant and knew what needed to be done. It's going to be very different as we look to acquire this talent over the next few years.